Hey everyone, I finished watching the next episode of Street Sharks. I don't remember what the title of this one was. Oh yeah, Shark and Roll. That was this one. So anyway, it starts off with Paradigm talking with his Ceviots. That's what his minions are called. Let's see. Yeah, he plans to mutate these kids that are going to a concert. Just the whole concert, I guess. And then the Sharks are at a costume party at a comic book store with Ben's. And there was a bunch of interesting people dressed up in different costumes. None, let's see, most of them they're not real characters. They're just made up for this. There's a few who kind of look like real characters. You can tell who they're kind of sort of supposed to be. See, there's a guy with a lobster costume. Oh, and the weird thing with this is all these people in costume, they're there throughout the whole episode. When the concert happens the next day or a couple days later or whatever, they're all there in costume. Why is everyone in costume at the concert? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, some of the ones I noticed, there's a guy dressed up kind of like Triton from Inhumans. There's a woman who looks a lot like Angela from Gargoyles, which made me wonder, uh, when was Angela introduced in Gargoyles? I know Gargoyles came out like around the same time as Street Sharks did. I don't know if maybe there was any influence from that, or maybe they saw Demona and they saw Goliath and were like, oh, put these two together and that can be this girl's costume, not knowing that later on that there would be a character just like that in Gargoyles. And then, let's see, there was a couple of Conan the Barbarians, and then there was this girl dressed like an amalgamation of a bunch of different superheroes. She had kind of a Wolverine mask, then a costume that, like, it kind of reminded me of something like one of the Protectors would wear. Remember the Protectors? Anyone out there know the Protectors? They're a really obscure comic. Anyway, oh, and the weird thing is, let's see, Street Sharks was produced by DiC Entertainment back in the day, so I'm wondering, like, they must have had their own, like, properties that they could have used. Like, why didn't they have anybody dressed up as characters from other DiC shows? I don't know, whatever. Oh, and actually, I kind of wonder, like, if some of the animation in here didn't come from other DiC shows, especially at the very beginning. At the very beginning, Dr. Paradigm and the Ceviots, they're in some warehouse getting stuff together, and outside there's a cat digging around a dumpster, and then it gets spooked by something and falls off the dumpster. The cat doesn't really look like it belongs in this world. It looks a little too cartoony. The style, just the way it's colored, looks weird. So I don't know if maybe that possibly came from somewhere else. I don't know. Oh, and then there's a weird audio mistake here. Let's see, Benz talks to the comic book store owner, and you can hear what the comic book store owner sounds like. And then later on, you see the Street Sharks are putting up posters for the concert, which Benz is working at, and that's probably why they're helping him put posters up. Anyway, this one girl comes up and she says to Streaks, "Yo, man, I like your teeth." And he's like, "I'm digging your locks as well, even though your hair is straight." Anyway, then she looks at the posters. There's a Talking Heads parody poster called The Shrunken Heads. There's another one. I can't remember what it's called now. It was some silly name. And then Melvin Krasnick. And then she goes, "Who's Melvin Krasnick?" And then Street Sharks or Streaks in a completely different voice, the comic book guy's voice. "Oh, Melvin Krasnick. With that kind of look, he must be a blah 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 blah." That was strange. And let's see, I didn't have this episode on tape when I was little. When I was little, I had the first episode, the premiere on tape, the three-parter, Gene Slamming Begins, and then Shark Quest and Lone Shark on a second tape. Then there was a few episodes from later on I had on tape here and there. I definitely didn't have all 40 episodes of the show until I got the DVD. Once I got the DVD, I was able to watch everything in order. So this episode I hadn't seen when I was a kid, but if I did, that definitely would have stood out to me. Streak suddenly having a completely different voice. So yeah, anyway, back to the actual plot. Um, oh, and one of the things I wondered about was if maybe originally it was supposed to be the comic book guy talking to the girl. Like maybe he walks in and he's looking at the posters and he answers her question about who Melvin Krasnick is. But maybe the producers they wanted the Street Sharks to be in almost every scene or something. They didn't want just some random one-off human character talking to another one-off random human character. maybe. Plausible. So, whatever. Oh, some stuff fell over here. Okay, anyway. Next thing that happens, we cut outside, and there's this guy with long hair driving a car. He's apparently blasting music too loud, although it really doesn't sound that loud. It also doesn't really sound like music. Must be some kind of like weird avant-garde artsy thing. Some guy yells at him to turn it down. He turns it up and talks to himself, gets distracted, crashes into a tree, and then lightning strikes the tree falls on the car, and it starts raining, and yeah, this guy's not having a good day. Oh, turns out this is Melvin Krasnick. So anyway, he goes up, he finds this hotel, he goes into the hotel, and then there's a weird audio error again, where, and I don't know if it's like just on the DVD, because I have seen this happen with DVDs, like, there's movies I've had on tape, they sound totally normal, and then I get the DVD, and the music will drown out the people. The same thing with, like, I've seen things on TV, I get the DVD, or the Blu-ray, whatever, and the music will drown everybody out. It has something to do with music being layered wrong or something on DVDs, I don't remember. But anyway, he goes in, and then, there's this guy at the front desk, and he says, "What's good about it?" Melvin says to the guy at the desk, "What's good about it?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I rewound it. I didn't hear anything. Then I rewound it again, and then I finally heard the guy at the front desk says, "Good evening." And then Melvin responds, "What's good about it?" But the music and the sound effects from the rain completely drown out the front desk guy. So what do I call the front desk guy? Like a manager or attendant or... I kept writing hotel keeper in my notes. I don't know what the proper term is. So whatever, anyway. Oh, and then right after that, there's an animation error where, let's see, Melvin's talking to the guy, and then he turns around, then he turns back to talk to the guy again, and then suddenly the guy has a mustache. He didn't have a mustache before, and then it disappears, and it never shows up again as far as I know. Because this hotel guy, he shows up in another episode. So that's really strange. Why is he suddenly drawn with a mustache? And it makes me wonder, like, did the animation team have different, like, designs? Like, in one of the original concepts, did he have a mustache? And they accidentally sent that to the animation team, and somebody looked at that, and they were like, oh, okay, so I draw him with a mustache, and then someone else was doing the next scene, and they were looking at the right character sheet, and they were like, oh, okay, so there's this guy, he doesn't have a mustache. Who knows? If this were to be done now, all of this could, like, easily be fixed in, like, digital editing over, like, anywhere. But back in the early 90s, I think this was animated by ACOM, who I think did X-Men later on. X-Men had its own animation errors once in a while. It had kind of a herky-jerky animation. It wasn't as smooth as, like, Warner Brothers stuff at the time, or Disney stuff, obviously. But anyway... yeah, lots of weird little animation errors. There's a bunch that I won't even mention because there's just so many in Street Sharks. But yeah, back to the story. Let's see. Melvin gets a room. He goes upstairs. The guy tells him, don't go to the third floor. The guy wants to be left alone or whatever. And so then, Melvin starts practicing with his guitar, which is a wooden acoustic guitar, not plugged into anything, but he, like, does that, and it makes an electric guitar noise. Like, I know that's a common animation error, but why does he have this, like, old wooden guitar? Whatever. Anyway, he gets thirsty, he goes over to get a drink, he turns on the faucet, a fly falls out of it. And that's a funny little gag I kind of like. Anyway, there's no water in his room, so he's like, I'll go upstairs and bother the guy. The guy told me not to bother. And so he goes on upstairs to get some water. He invites himself right in. Like, I can't even remember. Does he knock first? I don't remember. He comes right in, he looks around, he sees some popcorn and what he assumes is water on a table, and he's like, I'll just help myself. Jerk. So anyway, he puts some stuff on the popcorn that he thinks is salt. Like, and he even says that. I hope this stuff is salt. Okay. So then he eats the popcorn, drinks the water, and then he takes it with him. I'll take this with me to fight off the midnight munchies. This guy's an idiot. He he turns the music in his car up all the way just to be a jerk. He talks to himself and crashes his car. Now he's stealing food from the room of someone he was told not to go in. And even if he wasn't told not to go in, he still shouldn't go in someone else's room. Anyway, um, that night, he's in bed and suddenly he starts to transform into a shark. And so there's kind of a twist here where we think that that room upstairs must be Paradigm because the guy downstairs said the guy who had that room was a weird guy. So yeah, Paradigm with his bulky robot suit. And now he's transforming after having eaten something in that room. So anyway, Melvin gets up the next morning. He looks in the mirror, and let's see. He sees a shark. Help! There's a shark in my room. And then he's like, wait a minute. I'm the shark. And then he's like, cool. So that's kind of a cute little thing. I like that he's okay with being mutated. So then back at Shark HQ or the university or wherever, Lena's checking up her emails and she's gotten another mysterious email from the guy from the last couple episodes. And it tells her Paranoid's new plan involves tap water and popcorn. And it's weird because the thing actually says Paranoid. Like she reads it out loud, Paranoid, not Paradigm. So if the emails are being sent from Dr. Bolton, the Bolton boy's father, why is he calling Paradigm Paranoid now? Did he overhear them saying it and was like, clever boys, I like that. That's what I like to think, is he overheard them saying it and was like, I'm gonna start doing that now. So anyway, let's see. I think just a minute. Okay, my phone glitched up or something and I lost my notes. Now they're back. Anyway, then we get to Melvin. He's going to the concert hall for a sound check. And, let's see. Streaks is there helping to set up. And there's these girls around who think he's in costume or something. And they want his autograph. And then Melvin comes in. And then the girls are all over him. And Streaks is kind of ticked off that the girls are leaving him for that guy. And then he thinks Rox is a guy in a suit, but then he sees Rox dive into the stage and swim to the front of it, like how they would do on the road. So that convinces him, oh, this is a real mutant shark. Well, what's going on? So then he goes to his brothers and tells them that, dude, there's another mutant shark out there. Like, we don't have another brother. Paradigm must have kidnapped somebody else. And then, let's see, later on, Ripster and Jab go to the concert, and they find Slash, Slopster, and Killamari setting up a concession stand, and then they get into a big fight that doesn't really mean anything. It's just there to pad the episode out. Like, it's a fun little fight scene. It's nice to see Slash, Killamari, and Slopster all together, because as the series goes on, yeah, we're not going to see that again. Slopster pretty much disappears, Slash disappears. Later on, it's going to be just Killamari left of the original 3 Seviots. It's really disappointing, because, man, I liked them anyway. Paradigm goes to see Melvin Krasnick, and Melvin Krasnick has started calling himself Rox. Oh, and one of the funny things here, Paradigm, he's looking over Melvin about, like, his mutations, and he's like, huh, very nice. And he sees his long, like, metal rock hair, and he's like, hair was unexpected. That wasn't in my formula. I love that bit. So then he convinces Rox to help him recapture the street sharks because he didn't like that Streaks was hogging the girls. Yeah, Rox is an idiot. So then, see, oh yeah, Rox goes up. He helps Ripster and Jab fight off the Seviots, and then the brothers all show up. They take him to Shark HQ. Streaks gives him this new electric guitar shaped like a shark. Lena sees him. Oh, and there's a funny thing. He pulls the bag of popcorn out of his pants that he was eating last night and starts chowing down on that again. Like, this is a big bag of... Where is he keeping it? It doesn't fit in his pocket. Whatever. So anyway, Lena sees the popcorn and she's like, oh, well, I got that email saying the popcorn might be contaminated. We should analyze it. So then her and Ripster analyze it, and it turns out the salt on the popcorn is contaminated with mutating chemicals that are activated by tap water. And then there's also a chemical in the salt that prevents loyalty to Paradigm. Okay, so that's why Rox has, like, free will and isn't loyal to Paradigm like the Ceviots are, I guess. This point is kind of confusing. I'm not really sure. Is it the water is contaminated and also the popcorn, or does the water activate the popcorn, or the salt on the popcorn? Whatever. I'm probably thinking too deep into it, but whatever. Rox remembers Paradigm's request from earlier to help him recapture the street sharks. He takes this little tracer bug out and eats it. Okay, that was a bit of a plot that went absolutely nowhere. I don't mind, because, like, I wanted Rox to join the Street Sharks. I wouldn't want him to join Paradigm, because, I don't know, just something about Rox doesn't feel like he'd be a very interesting character as a villain. Like, he'd be a bumbling idiot, and we have enough. So then, oh yeah, this is a funny thing. We get another car chase, this time between the Sharks and Paradigm and the Ceviots. They're loading up vehicles with popcorn, getting them into their helicopter or whatever, and the Sharks don't stop them in time. And then at the concert, the Ceviots set up their concession stand and are selling popcorn and drinks, but fortunately, no one is buying it until they offer it for free. And by that point, the Sharks come in, and they collapse the whole concession stand, all the popcorn, all the soda's gone. Oh, and then there's a funny thing. I've always thought this was just the most hilarious thing. That this whole plot hinges on the fact that the Ceviots must have watered down the soda. Because the soda itself presumably isn't contaminated, because the soda didn't come from Fission City. The soda's probably come from somewhere else in the US, or maybe even from outside the US. So, and if the water is what's contaminated with chemicals, then they would have had to add water to the soda, so that means they watered down the soda. And I just thought that was really funny that the evil plan was literally watering down the soda. And that's pretty cool. So, anyway, oh yeah, then the crowd, like, picks up the Ceviots and start crowd surfing them. So yeah, they don't get, like, defeated or anything. The Sharks just leave, and then the crowd picks them up. And then Dr. Paradigm shows up for some reason, and he gets crowd surfed. And even the other villains are confused by this. Slash is like, "Doctor, is that you? Yes!" And then he mutates into Paranoid. But no one notices because his face is pointing upward and they're all lifting him up like that. Anyway, at the end, after the concert's over... Oh, and this is something. The concert, Streaks goes to play in the concert, and it's a really crappy song that he plays, but people think that he's in costume. People like the Street Sharks. Maybe they think Streaks is in costume. I don't really know. But, I don't know, maybe it's like Gwar, where people go to see not so much for the music, but just for the crazy effects and costumes and stuff. So anyway, after all that, Rox goes back to Shark HQ, and the other Sharks are asking him to join their team, and he's like, "Yeah, man, that'd be cool, but you know what? I think I really want to go on tour now, because I'm so popular." So then he leaves to go on tour, and happy ending all around. This is a really fun episode. It's way cheesier than the previous one, filled with animation errors, but despite that, it's enjoyable. Rox is a likable guy. He's rude and stupid as a human. He's showboating as a shark. But he's still a pretty good character, and I don't know, I liked him. And like I said before, this is one of the last times we'll see Slash, Slopster, and Killamari all together. And I really loved all three of them together. So it's really unfortunate that they don't stick around longer. And one of the other things I was thinking about in this episode was the earlier episodes, the Premiere, and then Shark Quest and Lone Shark. They were clunky at times, but overall they had a lot of talent and effort put in. And it's really obviously not quite all there here in this episode. Although this is still a pretty good episode, especially, like, given when it came out. It was, let's see, when was this again? 1994, 95, 96? So, yeah, for the time, it was fine. It was perfectly acceptable to see stuff like this on TV, like animation quality-wise. So yeah, I liked it. This was a good one. Looking forward to what's coming next. That's all for this one. See ya.